Hello, my name is Prime, and welcome back to ETS2 Showcases, and welcome to the Nordic Horizons DLC for Euro Truck Simulator 2. First off, I want to say a huge thank you to SCA Software for giving me early access to the Nordic Horizons DLC, which of course will be releasing on November 27th, 2025. And all I can say, my friends, is that the Nordic Horizons DLC is massive. So large, in fact, that I can't even get the whole thing in my screen here in one shot, filling out the northern sections of Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and if I count correctly, bringing in 40 or 41 brand new cities and towns for Euro Truck Simulator 2. The Nordic Horizons DLC has a lot of content to explore and a surprising density of roads and smaller roads as well, so many of you will know how excited I am. And to be honest, trying to decide where to drive first was a bit of a challenge. But I have landed on a delivery from here in iceland, and we're going to head up to Trondheim today, traveling primarily on the E39. And based on the map here, it looks like we have some short ferry crossings to navigate today as well. So I'm sure we'll get to experience some beautiful scenery along the western coast of Norway. And to complete our journey today, we'll be driving this Volvo FH Series 6 and hauling gnocchi in our Krone reefer trailer. So without further ado, let's get our Volvo started up and get exploring the Nordic Horizons DLC. Now, as I am recording this video on an early access build of the Nordic Horizons DLC, everything you see is still technically in a work in progress state. So if you happen to notice something that's a little funky or not quite right, don't worry, that will be corrected upon release for the Nordic Horizons DLC. And to go along with that, I am not using any third-party modification for the game. Everything you hear and see is Euro Truck Simulator 2 base game or official DLC content in entirety. All right, let's get rolling. Hopefully everyone is doing well. I am definitely doing well, and I am extremely excited to be recording this video today because we are here in the Nordic Horizons DLC, my friends. What a beautiful region here in Europe, and a long-awaited edition for ETS2 that is finally here, and my oh my does it look good. We have a lot to talk about today in today's journey. As I mentioned, heading up the coastline here of Norway, a beautiful region in general, and I wanted to do a coastal delivery, and so we should get mainly coastal, definitely some water, as I mentioned, some ferry crossings along the way by the looks of the map, so we'll have to see what we get there. Really neat indeed. Once again, a big thank you to SCA Software for giving me access to Nordic Horizons DLC early, again releasing on November 27th, 2025 for everyone here in the ETS2 community. I know many of you are waiting patiently for it. It is a massive DLC, the biggest DLC in terms of land size, definitely, or land coverage, shall I say, for a map expansion here in ETS2. And as if I counted correctly, 41 brand new towns. Admittedly, when you get that many new cities or towns, it's a little bit difficult to try and make sure you get the correct number in case. But as far as I know, it's 41. So that is pretty incredible. Incredible indeed to see. And regardless of the very specifics, 40 or 41, a huge new region unlocked for ETS2. Now, admittedly, I do not know, as of recording this video, what the final price of the DLC will be upon launch. I will try and get that confirmed and talked about that, obviously, in videos to come whenever the DLC is officially released and that information is made available. But I hope in this first look video and the other videos that are going to be coming very shortly here for ETS2 and the Nordic Horizons DLC from the channel, I hope it gives you a better perspective of, well, do you want to pick up the DLC? And also, I'll give you my thoughts on the DLC, honest thoughts, and say if it's worth it or not. I have a feeling many of you know where this is going to go based off of what we're seeing already here, and look at those mountains. Incredible. And I'll see if I can actually try and drive, well, somewhat half decently today. It is a first look video, so everything is fair game here on the Prime Simulation channel. If I somehow manage to get through this cleanly, it may be one of the first look videos ever that I'd be able to do that, but we're still pretty early on, so I'm not going to count any luck there. Nordic Horizons DLC, we are so close to release, and as I mentioned, I have got a lot of content here planned on Nordic Horizons, and I'm going to be doing everything possible to get so much content out here in ETS2 and then ATS respectively, with the Louisiana DLC releasing very, very soon as well. It is going to be very busy. So I don't normally say this, but if you aren't subscribed to the channel or you don't have notifications enabled, recommend it if you want to be able to see some of the content, early access content here on Nordic Horizons, and then eventually with Louisiana DLC release, see content there. There is a lot of great things to explore, and I actually am not turning. I am going straight through here. I nearly went the wrong direction already. Good going, Prime. you're like, what, 5 minutes into the delivery already, and we're already almost going it the wrong way at a roundabout. Beautiful. I mean, it would have been just a detour. Can't complain, especially when the detour looks like that. I always say this. The SCS software map teams are absolutely incredible. They somehow raise the bar every single time a DLC comes out, and I do not know how they manage to do it. But Nordic Horizons has taken everything that we know and love from the Greece DLC and turn it to 120%. It is just exploded beyond any form of belief of, well, really what I could imagine a DLC would be. And it is just incredible as we head on to the ferry here, because we've got to do a hop, skip, and jump across the pond here and continue our delivery, which is a really neat thing. I think there's something I'm going to have to get used to, because admittedly in Louisiana there's going to be some of these as well. Well, let's go across here. So we have to go over to Mulde. Is that how you'd say that? 40-minute travel time, 46 euro. That's not too bad. We're on the other side. Can we see where we left off on the other side? Kind of. Ish, not really. Don't know if the low distance is helping me out there. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. Let's continue exploring and talking about the Nordic Horizons DLC. So what do I think so far is probably the big question many of you are asking, if you're asking that. And to be honest with you, I am, although still talking, slightly at a loss for words to how to describe this DLC other than simply amazing, or simply lovely for those who enjoy watching F1 and know that phrase. It is simply lovely indeed, and it is just a beautiful DLC. And upon first impressions, to no surprise, by far the greatest DLC for ETS2 to date, in my view. Besides unlocking an incredible scenic region of ETS2, the amount of cities is something that I think many of us who play American Truck Simulator could be envious of the amount of cities available within this singular DLC, albeit over 3 different countries. There are a lot of cities. A lot of cities and towns within this DLC, as I mentioned, about 40, 41. That is incredible, let alone all of these little settlements and details along the way as we continue on our drive. It's absolutely unreal, and I don't know how this has all gone on either as well, but in the midst of course, the amazing amount of cities, the incredible quality of the DLC itself, the road density on the map, as I mentioned briefly and kind of you could see on the high overview of it, and we'll explore more of that throughout the coming weeks and months and so on here on this DLC. The road density is incredibly packed, in my view. It's not just sporadic highway infrastructure here and there, especially for a region such as this, especially as we head north, even farther north. Admittedly, some of the infrastructure, they could have really scaled down what was included. Could have really made just some key roads there. However, that is not fully the case, and I think we have to probably go into the way station here. Yeah, we do. I know chat's not available because we're not in a convoy, but the little route advisor had a red circle on it, so it is not happy with me. Admittedly, I can't even see the icons on the route advisor either. Or sorry, the what's it called? Where do I have to go for this? Oh, it's around the back. Oops. Don't mind the "don't go this way" sign. Sorry, lad. Okay, there's the Prime Simulation blunder for you. I think I may even be going the wrong way around this, but you know what? Take advantage of this Krone Profiliner City with the steerable axle. We're good to go, and it didn't even give me a message because things kind of glitched out briefly. As I mentioned, this is technically early access, and early access in a special version of an update for the 1.57 update for ETS2, which has had some intermittent problems for individuals here. Admittedly, even myself a little bit in this video already. I have noticed a little bit of extra lagging here. Just, again, intermittent stuttering. That is I don't want to say a widespread issue, but it is definitely an issue with the 1.57 update in general. I'm assuming it is due to the HDR support edition and the mechanics behind the scenes for that coming in. So keep that in mind as you explore the Nordic Horizons DLC. If you are impacted by this, at least as of the build I'm running on today, it is running quite stable in terms of the DLC itself, but some areas start to hiccup a little bit more than others. And for a DLC such as this, where vegetation is so high, I think the shadowing is one of the biggest culprits of it. Now, I have to do a little bit more testing, and I will be sure to let you know in a community post, but I think one of the best ways to resolve the stuttering issue in this 1.57 update in general across both games is to reduce your shadowing quality. I think that will do it, because HDR obviously affects many things with the lighting, but the shadowing is one part of it that the processing is just enhanced for. I think that could be it. I have to do a little bit more testing to give a proper conclusion on that, but just a little tidbit in this video. Keep an eye on that. That could help you out if you're having serious issues with it. Again, I would say the Nordic Horizons DLC on its own is performing well for me, even in these highly detailed areas. But I think it's the underlying update itself that is still working out some kinks. Again, this is an early access video in an update itself, so things can change. All right, gotta head on to the next ferry here. And go across the next lake. It's so cool how we have all these just little crossings we've got to do to be able to get where we need to go. So to Halsa, another thing here in the Nordic Horizons DLC, please be mindful of how I pronounce things and help me out in the comments below. I do not mean any disrespect in how I say a different, how I pronounce a city name, or I don't try to say it arrogantly or anything like that. I will simply make a mistake because I am not used to pronouncing many of these city and town names. So I do apologize if it bothers you in how I say it. Please let me know. I'll do my best to learn quickly with whatever cities we visit here to try and get them correct moving forward. While I remember them, I'll do my best. Am I going to be perfect? No chance. But I will do my best, so please help me out in the comments below if I am saying it at least sort of close, where it's passable, or if I'm completely off, let me know. I'm doing my best. I've done some extra looking to try and figure out how to pronounce some of these names, but even still, it will sometimes slip my mind, or for that matter, I still can't get it for the life of me. So if you could give any tips, highly appreciate that. So please be patient is what I'm saying, especially here in early access as I record a bunch of videos here and eventually get the learning in place here for the city names. Be patient with me. I do appreciate that one. I must say I am highly impressed so far. Again, as I've mentioned, about the detail level. The vegetation is incredible to see, but it is almost a little scary now, the quality of the DLCs, for the sake of how realistic they are. Albeit I have never visited this region in real life, but I have done some extra looking with what is wonderful now with the access of, for example, Google Maps. You can look through some of these regions, and throughout the blog posts and some of the other content, I've done my best just to kind of look ahead, see what some of the comparisons are. And I know based off of comments I've I've seen in other conversations I've had with community members, the realism and level of detail here in the Nordic Horizons DLC is seemingly, again, to another level that I never thought could happen. I mean, especially if you would have said, well, gee, again, I bring back the whole 2012 conversation with Euro Truck Simulator 2. If you would have said, you know, this many years later, are we still going to be having these quality improvements to the DLCs? You probably would have been hopeful. I definitely would have, but realistically, would I have seen it? Probably not. Huge credit to SES Software for the quality of this DLC. And again, for the most part, running incredibly well. And for example, right now, I am locked solid at a solid 60 frames per second, which I have it locked anyways in the game for the sake of recording to make sure it is as smooth as possible. And we're in shadows and there's no issue. But sometimes with vegetation, then it really starts to drop and hurt. Like for example, now. But normally that is not the case on my PC. So to that end, I am a bit at odds with the 1.57 update and the consistency of the issues and where it decides to show in the stuttering. And I hope that doesn't deter from the overall experience of the Nordic Horizons DLC, because the DLC itself is incredible, as I said, and running well for the most part. Again, I haven't had really any issues. When I entered that one way station there, it lagged a bit, but I think that could have been just either on my end or potentially the 1.57 update kind of causing havoc there in itself, because I am, as you see on the top of the screen, running a version of 1.57. That is the difficult thing. I can't fully say, is it the DLC, is it the update, because issues can persist between the two. This is early access, as I mentioned. SES Software is aware that there could be things not fully polished, but it is incredibly detailed though still, and obviously in a final state, being only a few days away now from official release. So in that sense, I want to know this. Where are you going to explore first? Because obviously I'm here on the more western coast of the DLC itself, but there are so many areas that you could simply explore and start. There is no right and wrong here, but just I want to know, where are you planning on going and what kind of delivery are you going to be doing? Because I can tell you this, I have plenty, as I've alluded to before, video ideas and different deliveries already planned in the pipeline, and by the time you're watching this video, you may have already seen some of those other deliveries come out if you're watching these videos out of sync in the future, or if you're watching this upon video release, there are some other great deliveries coming that I may have already recorded and they just haven't been published yet. They are coming very soon, such as exploring an underground warehouse that is now here, or underground facility, shall I say, a mine here in the Nordic Horizons DLC, the first here in ETS2. Of course, dynamic loading with logging, some of the heavy transport routes. There are so many great things coming, potentially a long haul across the Nordic Horizons DLC itself. Just little things to keep an eye out for. All great things to explore this vast region of ETS2, as I need to slow down for this roundabout so I don't absolutely clobber something. Gotta love this Crone City trailer. It helps out a lot with some of my antics. Regardless, there is a lot of content coming, so as I mentioned, keep an eye here on the channel, especially if you're on the fence, depending on what the Nordic Horizons DLC ends up costing. Definitely keep an eye out here to see what you could be exploring and what some of the potential is. Quality, I can tell you this, you do not have to be concerned about. The quality is, again, bar none, taking a level that we've known and loved with the Greece DLC to a level that could never even imagine, in my view at least, somehow improving once more. But I think it's maybe just the cost and availability to every individual person that could sway one way or another. So my hope is that at least by showing off some different areas of the Nordic Horizons DLC, in which the various videos coming up here in early access and in full release will do, I want to paint a decent picture for you. and what you can expect within the DLC, and give my honest thoughts on some of the areas of the DLC. Is it fully worth, you know, this much for it overall, or maybe do you wait for a sale, and you can maybe miss out on it if you do not already have, you know, select DLCs at play. So we've got to make a left here, come around. Really cool interchanges here. More in an urban center now. Going from country road, and I needed to be in the other lane. Sorry. This is going to be also a challenge, learning all the different interchanges here in the Nordic Horizons DLC. Always a challenge. Always a challenge for me to navigate intersections and so on to begin with, let alone a brand new area. There we go. Discovered Trondheim. Again, that's how I'm going to say it. Hopefully it is Trondheim and not Trondheim or something like that. Again, comment down below. Correct me. I am happy to do so. I really love the infrastructure here in Nordic Horizons, and I think SCS Software has done a great job. We've traveled across, obviously, various bridges. We've traveled on ferries. We've now gone through tunnels as well, different rock cuts. The infrastructure and the recreation of said infrastructure, as I am majorly speeding here in this tunnel, that recreation is incredible. And because of map scaling, they technically wouldn't have to. They could be very selective with what parts they do. But SCS Software decided to do so, and those detail levels are paying dividends in my view for this DLC. Again, incredible to see. I am so happy with Nordic Horizons, and this first look makes me so much more excited for the DLC, more so than I could have even imagined I'd be excited for this DLC, just because of how great this delivery has looked. It is such a scenic drive. I love the smaller roads. Yes, we got a little bit of highway infrastructure here at the end as well, which is great to balance things out, which is what I like to try and do on a first look delivery. There is so much to explore as I nearly go the wrong way. That was a good save. Thank you, Volvo, for having impeccable steering ability and great brakes for being able to do that. If I was an American Truck Simulator, that sign would be no longer. It would be no longer viable. Oh, cool. We got some different... Oh, there's actually a viewpoint here. Well, it's in our way, so I think we should probably partake in the viewpoint and see what we have to explore here. So let's go ahead and put their hazards on here, and let's go ahead and watch the viewpoint. You know, it's shots like these that make me truly appreciate the time and effort that goes into a DLC like this, besides the vegetation, besides the road network and infrastructure, the different industries, such as what we're seeing here with different depots and so on. It's the time and effort for the other details that just make it more immersive and realistic, which I truly appreciate about these DLCs. And again, what makes the Greece DLC, what makes the various reworks that are going on for ETS2 or have completed, what makes specifically here in the Nordic Horizons DLC something so incredible. It's more than just a delivery point A to point B along a new section of road. It's a point A to point B in essentially a true simulation of what that region is now, or fairly close to it at best. And it's the infrastructure in the cities as well, and the details on, say, the side of these buildings with the faded paint on the left-hand side here. There's those things that just set it apart from so many different developers in the sake of SCS Software and what their teams do. So SCS Software, I know you're probably watching this. Hats off. You're doing amazing work. Continue to evolve and improve. The community is behind you all the way. I definitely am. And that, of course, leads into... Oh, we got to actually put it in gear here, not just in the... not neutral. That also leads into, for example, Project Coaches. ETS2, from what we are learning from Project Coaches, and I did a community post on it just very recently, Project Coaches is more than just a module, realistically, or another DLC, which is all it is on paper. But Project Coaches is essentially a full bus simulator within Euro Truck Simulator 2. Let that sink in. There are full physics and full customer satisfaction and all the different mechanics of a bus simulator and what many developers spend a lot of time doing in that. But it's going to be across the ETS2 map. And if, for example, here in Nordic Horizons, as we've been driving, you may have even noticed some different bus stops along the way, besides just being a realistic addition, are probably strategic placement as well for Project Coaches. It's going to be a full other, basically, game module, as the name entails. It's called a module, but it will be a full other game, basically within ETS2 that runs parallel. Now, as at this point, I really don't know if it's going to be a completely separate module, like for example in the launch screen, if you launch into the coach career, or if you can have trucks and bus or coaches exist on the same plane, like if you're a massive logistics company in that sense then, and you know, you can have both running, passenger and cargo transport. That would be kind of neat, but I don't know if that is the full play there. Either way, I am so excited for the future of ETS2. I think you are as well, besides the other DLCs coming in the line as well, Ireland and Iceland. Of course, we've got Heart of Russia, which we don't really know what's going on there, but even still, there is so much to look forward to with ETS2, and Nordic Horizons is just one step in the foreseeable future of ETS2, and a bit of a glimpse, really, to what is to come. And again, I am so excited to explore Nordic Horizons more, and then, of course, the other content coming for ETS2 very, very soon. You know what? That'll do. The trailer is fairly straight in there. My truck isn't, but that doesn't matter. It's okay. They're going to be unloading this quite soon anyways. Thank you all so much for watching this first look video of the Nordic Horizons DLC, and once again, a big thank you to SCS Software for giving me early access to the Nordic Horizons DLC. It is always a true honor and privilege to do so, and I appreciate your trust in me to be able to do these videos, and I appreciate everyone watching these videos, because that is why I am here doing it, and you allow me to be able to do these first looks and give SCS Software the justification to allow me to have the DLC early to create content. It's a full circle, and I truly appreciate everyone involved, and I am so excited to explore Nordic Horizons in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead. Comment down below how excited you are for the Nordic Horizons DLC, and otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.